Hello and welcome. My name is Brian Caplen. I'm editor of The Banker, and we're putting together our pre-Sibos video. We have a special issue of the magazine which will be distributed to all the delegates at the meeting, which is in Osaka in Japan. And we'll have a big editorial team there. I'll be there. Jane Cooper, who's our transactions editor, will be there. And Doigu Tavan, who is our technology editor, will be there. And clearly some of the big themes of the meeting will be the general outlook for the economy, for regulation and for technology. So I'm here with Doigu Tavan now. Doigu, I mean, what do you think the delegates will be saying on the general sort of economic regulatory front?
I think they are obviously quite concerned about it, with all the different legislations and different regions coming together, and many deadlines pending and coming in soon. It will be quite difficult for them, so they still seem to be trying to figure out how to meet these regulatory guidelines and still operate in a really efficient market.
Yeah, I mean, of all the regulations coming along, it seems that people are still very worried about the whole SEPA thing, the Single European Payments Area, as well as certain parts of Frank-Dodd. Is that what you've been discovering when you've been talking to people?
Yes, definitely. So a lot of people say, on the one hand, SEPA has been around for over 10 years now, and yet the deadline for proper SEPA migration was only set earlier this year. So now many technical issues have emerged, or
yeah, you've written in one of your articles
exactly.
in the special issue that there's a problem with the standards, that we've got different sets of standards floating around. How's that going to work out?
Well, the banks don't quite know yet. At the moment, there is a bit of a lack in regulatory guidance because the European Payments Council, which is set up by the banks, has got its own rules and legislations, which is the one that banks should abide by. But then the European Commission, who has set the deadline, has also got its rules, and there has been a bit of possibly misunderstanding.
So it's a typical EU kind of muddle.
It is.
Now, what about in the US, where Dodd-Frank is also is further advanced generally than most of the sort of banking regulations in Europe? But I gather that 1073, as it's known, is the particular rule that transaction and payment bankers are worried about.
It is, and again, this is similar to SEPA in that it's been around, or it's been in Dodd-Frank since Dodd-Frank came into power, but because of other sections under Dodd-Frank that, for instance, affected the securities business or the consumer cards business, 1073 was sort of overlooked, a few banks have admitted, and 1073 requires transparency on all payments that go from America into other countries, but that also means that it will impact banks' commercial businesses, because now banks will have to get all their correspondent banks abroad to give them information on any lifting fees or any taxes that they put on payments that are received, which isn't currently the case.
All right,
and it's difficult.
I mean, there's always a common theme that comes out of this, isn't there? That I mean, as you get new regulation, so you require more information, and therefore you require new technology to get that information. And technology is always a common theme at Sibos. I mean, what sorts of issues do you think we're going to see this year on the technology front? There's been a lot of discussion about how in the sort of transaction payments area, we might see a transfer of some of the technology that's become popular in the consumer sphere, and I'm thinking about things like Facebook and mobile banking and so forth. Do you think that will be a topic of discussion in Osaka?
Mobile banking is definitely emerging fast as a service for corporates, and a few banks have launched, and some of them are launching new services for cash management, so specifically targeted at corporate treasurers, for instance, who can just approve payments or approve trades on the go, usually on their iPad and also on their smartphones. Things like social media, Facebook, there has been a lot of talk about it in the last few years, but when I speak to corporates, they don't really see the point of it.
Okay. Well, I think technology is definitely going to be a big focus. Sibos itself as an event is very sort of technologically enabled. We'll have our team there, and we look forward to seeing all of you in Osaka in Japan.